Welcome back to Sunday Night Spookies, the podcast dedicated to exploring the mysterious and the spooky unknown. My name is Lex.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is episode 8, Doppelgangers.
Doppelgangers.
Mm-hmm.
So before we begin, welcome to our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Please bear with us. This is a huge learning curve for both of us.
It will be a train wreck for a little bit.
For a little bit, yeah. We're going to try our best. Mm-hmm. We have new camera guy Dylan to help us with editing and all of the fun things that go along with trying to film. But we've never done this before.
No.
So
we're brand new and we're figuring it out. Mm-hmm. So just bear with us and have fun along the way because I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and maybe you'll learn something too.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have heard of doppelgangers, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. It's usually referred to when, like, oh, Lex, I saw your doppelganger at Meijer today.
Yeah.
Like the spitting image of a person that you know, relative, whoever.
I don't have a doppelganger. I mean, maybe I do, but no one's ever told me that.
I think I saw the picture on my Facebook where I was at the mall and there was a poster for a Marc Jacobs perfume with Cindy Crawford's daughter in it. And we look pretty close.
Yeah.
I look like a model's daughter. Probably don't look like her anymore. But I've never met my doppelganger.
Right.
I've seen people who look like other people. Like, I've had, like, double takes before where I'm like...
Yeah, that's happened to me too, I think.
But I've never seen this spitting image of somebody.
Mm-mm.
So doppelganger is a German word with the literal translation of doppel, or double, and ganger, walker, or goer. So double walker.
Okay.
Double person.
Sure.
It's generally accepted that doppelganger is basically a, like I said, spitting image of a person or the apparition of a living person. So they're not human.
An apparition of a living person.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what...
Okay. Like your soul, but also not.
Yeah, like,
okay.
Like your soul. We have some theories to dive into a little bit later on the things that they could be. But when I was doing my research, it was, like I said, genuinely accepted that it's an apparition. It's not human.
Okay.
And it's also known or thought that if you encounter your own doppelganger, imminent death is upon you. It is not good if you see your own doppelganger.
I don't know what I would do if I saw my own doppelganger.
I think I would lock myself in a room. Like, I'm not going to die. Not today.
No.
And then I'm sure most people have heard of the evil twin theory. That's where this comes from. The doppelganger is the origin of the evil twin, which is many films and movies and TV shows and everything depict the evil twin. In German folklore, the doppelganger is said to be a very bad omen. Like I said, imminent death. Some people think that the doppelgangers were meant to plant evil or confusing thoughts in the living person's head. So the doppelganger themselves was sent or came to kind of get you off course, make you confused, give you some evil thoughts. And as I said, doppelgangers and their shenanigans have been the focus of many films, TV shows, art. One of the most famous depictions comes from 1864. And this is a painting called How They Met Themselves by Dante Gabriel Rossetti. And the painting shows two medieval lovers on a stroll through the woods. And they happen to encounter their own identical twins, or doppelgangers. And the painting depicts them as glowing. So the doppelgangers themselves have like this aura around them. And the real man is in the process of pulling out his sword. And the real woman is like fainting, like in the painting. She's like, oh, in the arms of her lover. It's very dramatic.
Very dramatic.
But that just kind of shows that the doppelganger theory has been around forever. And there's actually some mythology that I'd like to read. And I'm reading from a website called ancientorigins.net, which is something that I use a lot. I kind of like this website. It's not anything like scientific, as none of this stuff is, so grain of salt. But in ancient Egyptian mythology, a ka it's just Ka, I'm assuming Ka, was a tangible spirit double, having the same memories and feelings as the person to whom the counterpart belongs to. In one Egyptian myth, entitled The Greek Princess, an Egyptian view of the Trojan War, a Ka of Helen was used to mislead Paris of Troy, helping to stop the war. So, in that case, it was a good thing. So,
Sure.
in German mythology, it's always a bad thing to see a doppelganger. But here, I would like to include that it was used as a good thing. It stopped the war.
Okay.
In Norse folklore, there's descriptions of entities known as, oh, good Lord, Vardoger. It's gonna be wrong. It's the O with the slash through. I have no idea how to say that. I'm so sorry. But it's a ghostly being that preceded their living counterparts, taking their places at various activities and performing their actions in advance. So before the person was actually going to go brush their teeth, this spirit double could be seen doing that.
I don't really like that. I don't think.
Nope. The spirit with the subject's footsteps, voice, scent, and appearance and overall demeanor precedes them in any location or activity, resulting in witnesses believing that they've seen or heard the actual person before the person physically arrives. This bears a subtle difference from a doppelganger with a less sinister connotation. So in Norse mythology, again, they're not always evil, but they're seen doing things in future tense.
Okay.
Which I've never heard of that before.
No, me either.
I've always heard of it doing its own thing.
Yeah.
Not
Like a precognition's not the right word, but kind of.
yeah, like I've never heard of doppelgangers playing out the future.
No,
if
me
that
either.
makes sense. Another really cool theory, and this kind of led to a discussion of a new topic that we want to explore. There's people from a certain island of Scotland that fear fairy-like creatures. So way back, if you've listened to us for a long time, we did an episode all about the Fae, and we talked a little bit about changelings in that episode.
It was our first episode.
Yeah, it was our first episode.
Aw.
Wow. These fairy-like creatures are called trolls, and according to legend, trolls would give birth to children who were apt to be sickly. So we kind of talked about that in our very first episode about babies that were sick were said to be changelings, especially in this area.
Yeah.
Pregnant women were carefully guarded from the trolls, who would often steal healthy human babies and replace them with their own children, known as changelings, who would transform into exact replica of the stolen children. So doppelganger, in a way, just a whole different approach. And I thought that was really interesting and something that we definitely want to dive into in the future.
Yeah.
Because I read that and I'm like, oh, this has got to be cool. So that's kind of around the world. There's always, like most myth, there's always some kind of doppelganger. There's always some form of the legend or entity, just in different perspectives. So I wanted to give a little insight that the doppelganger itself, the concept, is very widespread. It just appears in different ways.
Sure. So now we're going to dive into the story of Emily Saget, and she is probably the most well-known.
Yeah, before we started doing research for this, when we decided on the topic, I was like, oh, we should talk about Emily Saget. I've heard of bits and parts of her story. I think I've seen a YouTube video years ago about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to take this right from the mutineer.org website. They have kind of a brief story. The history and the story behind it really is like 9 pages long.
There's a ton of, especially this case is so well documented for its time, which I think is probably why it's so popular. It's because it's probably one of the only super well documented cases of it.
Yeah. So I chose the shorter version. So if you're interested in learning more about it, go ahead. Emily Saget.
You go for it.
I'm just going to read directly from the website. Emily Saget was a teacher. In fact, she was 2 teachers. No, she didn't take the exam twice. It was just, she was plural.
She was plural.
It's an interesting,
I like that.
Interesting way to put that. Emily I was born in Dijon, France in 1813, and her story comes to us from a book called Footfalls of the Boundary of Another World by Robert Dale Owen, published in 1860. According to Dale Owen, he learned of the strange story of Emily Saget from Julie von Goldenstub. Don't quote me. The daughter of Baron von Goldenstub, who had been a pupil at a boarding school called something. There's Pensione von Nieuwelk.
Wow, that's a name.
Don't quote me on that. There's no way. In present-day Latvia in 1845. It was in this year that Julie became acquainted with Emily, who had recently joined the school in a teaching capacity. By all accounts, the 32-year-old teacher was bright, engaging, and popular with pupils and colleagues alike. It was surprising, therefore, that in the 16 years that she had been in employment, Emily had worked at 18 different teaching establishments.
That's a lot.
That is a lot in 16 years.
Yeah.
That's
all teaching positions?
Mm-hmm. However, the reason for her rapid turnover of employers did not take long to present itself. While teaching a class of 17 girls, Emily had her back to the students, writing on the blackboard when, to the utter consternation of her attentive charges, a duplicate Emily suddenly appeared next to the teacher, imitating her movements, minus the chalk stick the real Emily was using to write with. Probably because an apparition of a human can't hold a piece of chalk. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
It appeared that Emily Saget had a doppelganger. A doppelganger is defined as a ghostly double, which you talked about earlier, and in many cultures is considered a bad omen to encounter your own doppelganger. Fortunately for Emily, she couldn't see her own doppelganger, but everyone else could, which I think would drive me just insane.
It's also interesting that she couldn't see it.
Right.
Like, because seeing your own doppelganger is a bad omen, and people always talk about that. But I've never heard, outside of this case, of somebody that can't see their own doppelganger.
Maybe she was fibbing.
Oh, maybe.
She was just like, I can't see.
Emily Saget, you lying bitch. I don't know that. Sorry.
For legal reasons, we don't know.
Speculations.
Yeah, it's fine. The best witnessed incident of her being seen in two places at once occurred one day when she was gardening, while a large class of 42 girls were being given sewing lessons. When the teacher giving the class needed to leave the room for a few minutes, Emily walked in and sat down, as if taking over supervision in the needlework teacher's absence. I wish I would have learned needlework in school.
Yeah, what a fun class.
The only trouble was, the pupils soon realized that she was also still outside gardening.
Oh.
So that's a big yikes. Terrifying as the apparition of Emily too must have been, a few girls courageously approached the specter and one even touched it, noting that her hand passed through it with only a minimal cobweb-like resistance.
So she must have been solid for people to think that it was actually her.
Yeah. Or at least, like, a semi.
Because if I see something that's not all there, I'm not gonna think like, oh, that's Emily Saget.
Right. I don't know. Who knows? Most commonly, however, Emily 2. I love that they're doing Emily 1 and Emily 2. Emily 2 would appear next to Emily 1, imitating her movements, such as when she was eating or teaching her class. On one occasion, Emily was helping a pupil with a costume she wanted to wear to an event. When the student glanced down to see how Emily was getting on with the adjustments, she was stunned to find two Emilys working on the dress. She promptly passed out from shock.
I wonder if double the work was getting done.
I imagine not, because she couldn't hold chalk, so she's probably not holding, like, a needle and thread and, like, hemming a dress or something, right?
What a waste of a doppelganger.
For real, though. Apparently, poor Emily had no explanation for her doppelganger. She never saw it herself and had no control over it. People noted that whenever her twin put in an appearance, the real Emily looked pale and lethargic. As soon as the apparition vanished, however, she immediately returned to normal. It seemed as though her double needed to sap her energy in order to be able to manifest itself, which makes sense.
That makes sense.
That's like a ghostly trait anyway, I feel.
Yeah, I wonder if there's things that will trigger the doppelganger appearance.
It's something to Google. That's
just
something to Google.
because it like would randomly showed up.
Right. Just distress, maybe? I feel like distress is always like the thing that makes that stuff happen.
Yeah. But why would she be stressed sewing a dress?
Listen,
Or gardening.
I'm stressed breathing, okay?
Same. Same.
Unfortunately for her, students found the ghostly twin so upsetting that many parents started to remove their children from the school. I get it.
Yeah, especially during then, like that time.
Right.
It's the devil's work.
Yep.
She's a witch. Satan.
Something like that, always.
Always.
As a consequence, the principal had no option but to terminate Emily's contract of employment. Which makes
Explains
sense.
the 18 jobs.
Right. Thus ended Emily's 19th assignment in less than 17 years. Sadly, as the source of the story, Julie, we remember from earlier, thereafter had no further contact with her former teacher, and we have no idea what became of Emily Saget and her unwanted sidekick.
Unwanted sidekick. Emily, too.
I read before that she was just constantly lethargic, not feeling good, whatever. But I don't think that she died in response to her doppelganger.
I don't think so either. It'd be interesting, though. To be always that tired and lethargic, I'm always tired. But to be, like, drained and pale and sickly,
Right.
how they were describing it.
Well, and not being able to see what's doing it to you.
Or know what's causing it to pop up.
Right. I could not. And
Sorry, Emily.
then knowing that everyone else can see this thing that's making you really sick and ill, but you just can't.
And random people fainting around you.
There's just like, you just have a twin that's always with you that you can't see, you can't talk to them, you can't.
Yeah.
That's just a weird feeling.
At least let me talk to it.
Right. That's a weird thing. So we have some theories. Sarah touched on some of them already, but I'm going to go through the ones that I have. A doppelganger is an omen of death. We already talked about that. It's even more serious to see it more than one time. Because if you see it more, I don't know if that means that death is extra imminent. Like it's gonna, like if you see it twice in a day, you're gonna die in like the next hour or something. Or like an extra terrible death. I don't know what that means, but apparently it's much more serious to see it more than one time. And that is backed up by Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, it is.
Abe Lincoln saw his doppelganger.
Yeah, and his wife actually predicted that he would like die before the end of his second term.
Yeah.
She like predicted it and then it happened.
Yeah.
And she was always like, we've talked about her before. She was so spiritual and so like in tune with that kind of stuff. But
And
yeah.
he did get a second term, and then he did not make it through.
Yeah.
So she wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong.
Doppelgangers give malicious advice. You mentioned that one. If someone else sees your doppelganger, it means that you might be very sick. Okay. Number 4 is that your doppelganger is a ghostly double that lived before you.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. I like that.
Yeah, they kind of describe it like deja vu in reverse. They
That's a weird thing to think about.
Where a spirit with the subject's footsteps, voice, scent, or appearance and overall demeanor precedes them in a location or activity, resulting in witnesses believing they've seen or heard the actual person before they arrive. So you talked about that.
Yeah, so like the Norse mythology side of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Another one is that it's your spirit double, which you talked about, the Ka. I also have that it's your evil double from the underworld.
Oh, that's a good one.
There was the Native American myth that said the doppelganger is basically your evil double from the underworld. And Native American myths say that there's an upper world and an underworld. The good people live in the upper world and the evil people live in the underworld. The legend refers to twins called the child of the sun and the child of the water. And they believe that whatever happening in the upper world, the opposite is happening in the underworld.
That's a cool concept.
That kind of reminds me of like Stranger Things. You didn't watch that, did you?
That, no.
Just like the upside down, like it's like an alternate dimension kind of. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
Ooh, dimensions is something we should do too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would be a big episode.
Number 7 is that today it's pretty common to find old portraits and paintings of someone who looks exactly like someone living now. I saw one with Nicolas Cage, I want to say.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And that looks just like him.
I have a little bit of information on that.
Oh, okay, good. That apparently is not a great sign either.
Well, what does that mean? Does it tell you?
Yes, but also no. The Canelos Indians of South America hated portraiture. I think I said that right. We'll see. And photography, because they believe the pictures captured the soul of the person. And because the portrait is representation of the soul, it means that the pictures of the soul become the double.
Okay, that makes sense.
It took me a second to get that
Yeah.
together. And then 8 is that it's a sign of an alternate universe.
Okay, that one's not as cool, but
No, but also
I think it's kind of like obvious.
I really believe it. I don't know. I feel like I believe in dimensions. We'll have to just look into it.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode about it. So I have 5 little facts about doppelgangers. And the first one is that they're more common than you think. And this is what I was talking about when I said that I had a little bit more information. There's been a lot of studies saying that there's only so much genetic diversity. There's only so many combinations of genetic material that can happen. And so you are bound to, the universe and life is bound to repeat genetic combinations. And so some people think that when you see a doppelganger, or you see a photo from 100 years ago that looks exactly like you. I actually have a picture of my great-great-grandma who definitely just could be me in costume. It's weird. I have to find it. So people think that because there's only so many millions and trillions of combinations, which sounds like a lot. But when you think about the population of the world and how many there was and will be, you're bound to come up with the next repeat, basically.
That's true.
Which I thought that was a kind of interesting science-backed explanation of doppelgangers.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that could happen in the same generation or century. It could. But I think the percentage of that would have to be pretty low.
Yeah. The only person I look like is my dad. So.
Yeah. And not doppelganger level.
No, not that much.
The next we've touched about a lot is that they're said to herald bad news. Evil twin. They cast no shadows.
Okay.
Which,
I mean, if you're not
solid
there and solid, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the origin of the evil twin we talked about. And it's the last kind of gimmicky fact in here is it's genuinely really creepy. Like, that's why it's such a topic for folklore and films and all this kind of stuff, is because that's freaky to run into the identical
like it's
version of yourself.
It's one thing to see somebody that looks like you.
Yeah.
Or hear somebody looks like you and just like in passing. But then to think that person might be like evil or not there or
have the same voice as you do, the same everything.
Having the same actions and moving the same way, that is what's weird to me.
That's creepy. And I don't want to meet my doppelganger, but I wouldn't be mad if I met somebody else and their doppelganger.
Right.
Like, sorry about your bad news, but
sorry,
it's really cool to witness.
True that, though. So we decided to close out this episode with looking at celebrity doppelgangers.
I've never seen these pictures before, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, so we're gonna throw some pictures in here somehow. Haven't figured that out yet.
We'll get there. Camera guy Dylan, right?
Yeah, so take a look. First we have Katy Perry and Zooey Deschanel.
To be fair, I've seen this one before.
Yeah, me too.
But freaking weird. If you guys haven't, look at it.
The only difference is that Katy Perry's chin is a little bit longer. I think she's a longer face.
Yeah.
We have Emma Corrin and Jodie Foster. A young Jodie Foster. Young Jodie Foster. Very similar. I don't know who Emma Corrin is.
That's insane.
I don't know who Emma Corrin is.
I'm a big fan of Jodie Foster.
I do like Jodie Foster. Next we have Victoria Pedretti and Hilary Duff.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't know who that lady is either.
No.
I know who Hilary Duff is, but they look
That's weird.
very
the same
similar.
like bone structure and everything.
Yeah. Next, we have Kiernan Shipka and McKenna Grace.
I don't know who either of these people are.
One of them is from Sabrina on Netflix, which I think is canceled now.
Oh, I know who this is. Okay.
But they semi-similar. One of them's a little bit younger than the other.
Yeah, still strange though. So I take back what I said of like this happening in the same like genetic makeup happening in the same like era or generation because this is wild. Mm-hmm. This is wild.
It's crazy.
Oh,
Rachel Bilson and Kaya Gerber. Please don't sue me. I don't know how to say her first name.
that's weird.
They're different ethnicities, I think.
Yeah, I can
But
see
they
that.
look
Like same
pretty
smile,
similar.
hair color, eyebrow shape, everything.
Mm-hmm. Next is Bryce Dallas Howard and Jessica Chastain.
This one is not as close as the others.
No, I didn't think so either.
Still very close, but not as close as the others.
I kept it in because I didn't think that it was a doppelganger situation, but other people do.
Yeah, I don't think it's a doppelganger level.
Rob Lowe and Ian Somerhalder.
I've seen this one.
Rob Lowe is like an old version. Not old, sorry, older.
Yeah.
Older version of Ian Somerhalder.
Yeah, that's wild.
Blue eyes, piercing blue eyes. That's what
yeah.
they have in common, and strong jaws. Next is Sarah Hyland and Mila Kunis.
This one's not as close.
Similar. I understand it.
I understand it.
They have, like, their nose shape is kind of similar, face shape's kind of similar, but I think it kind of ends there.
Yeah, this one definitely is not I can't say it anymore. Doppelganger level.
When you said doppelganger 40 million times in
the
like
last hour.
In like an hour, it's bad. I mean, Mila Kunis's eyes are green.
Yeah.
Sarah Hyland's are brown. I get it. Maybe Sarah Hyland's a younger version.
Maybe.
Of Mila Kunis. Maybe. Next is Stephen Colbert and Bob Saget.
Okay, this one's really close.
I think they chose like the pictures that would make them look very similar. Bob Saget looks kind of rough right there.
Yeah, he does.
But that's pretty close.
Oh, yeah.
We have Helen Mirren and Jennifer Lawrence. It's not a great picture of Helen Mirren. But
I see the resemblance,
it's
though.
It's pretty similar. This one I thought was pretty similar. The next one, and I never noticed it before until I like read that it was a thing.
Okay.
Jennifer Lawrence and Bella Hadid.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's the closest one of them all.
I've never been like, is that Jennifer Lawrence or Bella? I've always like known the difference when I see them.
It looks like Jennifer Lawrence just put on a different lip color.
Yeah.
Like it's
very similar.
Wow.
Very minute differences between the two.
Yeah.
And then we have Amber Heard and Scarlett Johansson.
I've seen this one too. Mm-hmm. Scarlett Johansson is far better.
Amber Heard is a beast of her own.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. Natalie Portman and Keira Knightley.
Okay, I've seen this one too.
Me too. They're for a long time thought they were the same person. Like,
same. Oh yeah.
Like
when I was growing up, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Margot Robbie and Jamie Presley.
Oh.
And Jamie Presley's a little tanner.
Yeah, but I think if you aged Margot Robbie 15 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dax Shepard and Zach Braff. Yes, but also no.
He looks like I don't know who this guy is.
That's Zach Braff.
Okay, Zach Braff looks like one of those like dopey celebrity impersonators. Like he looks like he's trying to impersonate.
What does he do? I think he's on Scrubs. That shows it's kind of old.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of old. Minka Kelly and Leighton Meester.
This one isn't as close either.
Minka Kelly has a skinnier chin. Mm-hmm. But I get it.
I see the resemblance, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Courtney Cox and Demi Moore.
Okay.
I think Demi Moore's got a stronger jawline.
Who's this one?
This one's Courtney Cox. She's got a stronger chin.
She looks like she's had Botox done.
Yeah, she absolutely has.
Okay, I think if she hadn't had Botox, it'd be a closer image.
That's true. Okay, this one I'm mad about.
Okay.
This one I save for last because I'm angry.
Okay, why?
I'm angry. It's not true.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. I like Harry Potter.
Oh no.
Specifically,
I just watched Harry Potter yesterday. The first 2 movies. We're working our way through.
Specifically, Rupert Grint. If you don't know,
What's going on?
He plays Ron Weasley.
I love Ron Weasley. He's my favorite.
They said he looks like Ed Sheeran.
No! What?
I pulled this. I was like, I hate whoever did
There's
this.
no resemblance.
They don't look alike at all.
No, not at all.
No, the only thing that they have similar, one, red hair. First off, Ed Sheeran is way redder.
He's like fire crotch level.
But yeah. And then
The eye shape is different. The face shape, everything's different.
it's
Also, Rupert, get the freaking cheetah print shirt off.
it's not a good look.
Stop
It's
it.
not a good look. I was mad about this. Their eyes, similar colors.
First of all, Ed Sheeran looks like he's looking in 2 different directions.
He sure does. He sure does. It's fine. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I will figure out a way to get all these pictures to you.
Yeah, we'll make like a Facebook folder.
Yeah, maybe a little collage of the doppelgangers for you. But yeah.
That one's not right.
The
That one's
Rupert
wrong.
Grint one, I'm upset about.
That one's wrong.
I love him.
I do too. He's my favorite character.
If you're listening, I love you. So that's it for this episode, all about doppelgangers. If you know anyone who could be my doppelganger or Sarah's doppelganger, please let us know. We want to know about it.
Yeah. Fun fact: this isn't a doppelganger, but the actress I knew her from Scooby-Doo, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Mm-hmm, me too.
My first and middle name is Sarah Michelle. They're both spelled the same. We have the same natural hair color, same eye color, and same birthday. She's older.
Did your mom plan that?
No, not at all.
Yikes.
It's not weird.
You guys don't look alike.
No, it's not a doppelganger. It's just
interesting
information.
Interesting connections there.
Yeah.
So if you have a doppelganger,
Yeah.
also we want pics. But if you have any information on doppelgangers, either of us or of yourself, please reach out to us on any of our social media sites. We are on Instagram at Sunday Night Spookies, on TikTok at Sunday Night Spookies, on Twitter at Sunday Spookies, on Facebook at the Sunday Night Spookies podcast, and on YouTube. At Sunday Night Spookies.
We also have a few links in our description. We have one for Buzzsprout. This is a website we use for all of our podcast hosting needs. Guys, it's a great website. If you're in the market to start your own website or start your own podcast, I recommend using this website. It tracks all of our monetizations, any sponsorships that we might have. We can see, we have people listening in Asia, guys. It's really cool. You can see all of it. We also have a link for Instacart. If you are like me and you hate the public and you hate grocery shopping, I suggest getting on the Instacart train.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, if you use our link, you can get free delivery on your first order of over $30. We also have a few links for our EMF detector and the spirit box, the same ones that we use from Amazon. These are 2 pieces of equipment we never leave out. We swear by these pieces of equipment. And if you use any of these links to purchase these goods or services, we do get a small kickback from them, but they're all available without using the link. We do also have a support the show link. We are 2 broke college girls who love going on adventures.
Broke being the operative word.
Yeah, and broke means no adventures. So any donations we get goes right back into the podcast with creating better and more content for you. So if you'd like to donate to our cause, or if there's a location that you want to see us visit, you can slip some money our way and just leave us a note that says, hey, I'd like to see you guys visit this place or talk about this topic. And we definitely give you a shout out for that. We appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Yep. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sunday Night Spookies.
Join us next week for our episode about astral projection and lucid dreaming.
New episodes are released every Sunday evening. Thanks so much for listening, and as always,
Stay spooky.